A casino can lose millions in a single night and still be perfectly comfortable. That sounds impossible. If one gambler walks away with $50,000, another hits a jackpot and a third gets incredibly lucky at the blackjack table, it seems like the casino should be bleeding money. But that is not how the business works. The casino is not trying to make every customer lose. In fact, it doesn't need to. Its real advantage comes from something far more powerful, turning thousands of uncertain decisions into one predictable mathematical outcome. Every spin, every hand, and every bet is an individual gamble. But when those bets are multiplied across thousands of customers, hours of operation, and millions of wagers, randomness begins to disappear. What looks unpredictable to a player becomes remarkably predictable to the casino. And that raises a fascinating question. If casinos can afford to pay out enormous jackpots, where does that money actually come from? The answer begins with a number most gamblers rarely think about. The house edge. The casino's greatest advantage is not that it can predict what you will do. It is that it does not have to. This is the idea behind the house edge, the mathematical percentage of every wager that the casino expects to keep over a large number of plays. A player can get lucky or walk out with thousands, but across thousands of bets, the mathematics becomes much harder to escape. Roulette makes this easy to see. On an American roulette wheel, there are 38 numbers, but a straight-up bet pays as though there were only 36. That difference creates a house edge of about 5.26%. Over a sufficiently large sample, it expects to retain roughly that percentage of the money wagered. Blackjack works differently. Skill and strategy can influence outcomes, which is why experienced players can sometimes reduce the house advantage. But the rules still give the casino structural advantages, such as the dealer acting after the player and the consequences of going over 21. And this is where the business model becomes powerful. The casino does not need every customer to lose. It needs enough bets for probability to stabilize. One player can win $50,000. One player can win $50,000. Another can win then lose it later. Individually, these outcomes are chaotic. Collectively, they become remarkably predictable. This is the law of large numbers in action. As bets multiply, each individual result matters less to the overall outcome. But probability alone does not create millions in revenue for a modern casino. The real money appears when that small mathematical advantage is multiplied by an enormous number of bets happening simultaneously. A 5% advantage sounds almost meaningless when you look at a single bet. But for a casino, the real power comes from multiplying that tiny edge across enormous amounts of money. Imagine 10,000 players entering a casino. Suppose each player wagers an average of $500 during the night. That creates $5 million in total betting volume. If the games collectively produce a 5% house edge, the casino's expected gross gaming revenue would be around $250,000. But there is an important distinction here. $5 million is not revenue. It is money wagered. The casino does not simply collect every dollar that enters a machine or table. The casino does not simply collect every dollar that enters a machine or table. Revenue is what remains after those payouts are accounted for. And the process repeats. Player might arrive with $500, lose $200, win $300, lose $400, and then walk away. From the casino's perspective, the individual journey barely matters. What matters is how much money is being cycled through the games. If those 10,000 players each make dozens or hundreds of wagers, the total betting volume can become enormous. A modest mathematical advantage applied repeatedly can generate substantial expected revenue. There will still be volatility. A lucky player can hit a jackpot. A table can have an unusually bad run. A group of gamblers can win more than expected on a particular night. But casinos are not designed around predicting tomorrow's exact result. They are designed around making the long-run mathematics work. And that creates the next challenge. A mathematical advantage only matters when people keep placing bets. So, the casino needs something beyond probability. It needs to make customers want to continue playing. The casino's mathematical advantage only works when the customer keeps playing. And that means one of the most valuable things a casino can capture is not your money, but your time. Walk into a modern casino and the environment rarely feels accidental. Gaming machines are positioned where they can attract attention. Seating is designed to keep players comfortable. Food, drinks, entertainment, and hospitality reduce the reasons to leave. In many casino environments, even basic signals of time can become less noticeable. Why does that matter? Because a customer who walks in with $100 does not necessarily make one $100 bet and disappear. Player might lose $20, win $30, lose $40, and continue playing. The original bankroll is moving through the system again and again. The original bankroll is moving through the system again and again. This is where the difference between bankroll and betting volume becomes crucial. A person may only bring $100 into the casino, but if that money is repeatedly wagered, the total amount bet can become several $100s or even much more. The casino's edge applies to the betting activity, not simply the amount the customer carried through the front door. Every additional spin, hand, or wager creates another opportunity for the house advantage to operate. That is why time becomes economically valuable. The longer a customer remains engaged, the more decisions they make, and the more opportunities the casino has to capture its statistical edge. But keeping someone inside is only half the challenge. The casino also has to make another bet feel natural after the last one. And that is where the business model moves beyond architecture and probability into something much more powerful: human psychology. Losing should make a gambler stop, yet sometimes it produces the opposite reaction. After several losses, a player may begin thinking the next spin has to be different. Red has appeared 5 times, so black must be coming. A machine has not paid out recently, so surely it is getting close. This is the gambler's fallacy, the belief that independent random events somehow become due because of what happened before. Then there are near misses. A slot machine might show 2 matching symbols while the third stops just beside them. Mathematically, the player has still lost. Psychologically, it can feel strangely close to winning. That feeling matters because gambling is built around unpredictable rewards. Most bets produce nothing, but occasionally one produces a win. The uncertainty creates anticipation, and anticipation can become more compelling than the reward itself. Then comes loss chasing. A player loses $100 and decides to win it back. Another $100 becomes a second chance. If that fails, the temptation can become even stronger. Just one more bet. The goal quietly changes from entertainment to recovery. Occasional wins make this cycle even more powerful. A dramatic jackpot can become the story the gambler remembers, while dozens of ordinary losses fade into the background. The brain naturally gives emotional events more weight, creating the impression that winning happens more often than it actually does. And when players believe they are influencing random outcomes through timing, patterns, strategies, or intuition, they gain an illusion of control. The casino does not need to convince every customer that they will win. It only needs the experience to remain emotionally engaging. But there is another layer to this business. Casinos are not simply watching customers gamble. They are collecting information about how each customer behaves, and using that information to determine exactly how valuable that gambler might be. By now, the casino is not simply watching the money on the table. It is watching the customer. Modern casinos can use loyalty programs and player tracking systems to understand how often someone visits, how long they play, which games they prefer, and the approximate size of their wagers. A rewards card might look like a simple way to earn points, but economically, it can function as a customer database. That information allows the casino to estimate something much more important than a player's last transaction: their potential value. A tourist who visits once, plays for 20 minutes, and spends $50 is one type of customer. A regular player who visits every week, stays for hours, and consistently makes larger wagers is another. And the second customer may receive very different treatment. Complimentary room, meal, airport transfer, show ticket, or upgraded experience can look like generosity. But from the casino's perspective, these are marketing expenses. If giving a customer a $300 hotel room encourages enough additional gambling activity to generate an expected return greater than $300, the promotion can make perfect economic sense. The casino is not asking, "How much did this person spend today?" It is asking, "How much might this person generate over the entire relationship?" That changes the way loyalty programs make sense. The points, upgrades, and personalized offers are not merely rewards. They are tools designed to increase visit frequency, lengthen sessions, and keep valuable customers connected to the casino. And for the most valuable gamblers, the numbers become dramatically larger. These players can wager enormous amounts, creating a level of potential revenue that justifies extraordinary attention from the casino.